What's up, guys? I'm Crystal Lee Naomi, aka Jasmine Borders on Tyler Perry's Sisters. Be sure to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review for not only reviews on the Haves and the Have-Nots, but also on Sisters. And while you're at it, give your girl a follow on Instagram at Crystal Lee Naomi. And I'll see you every Wednesday at 9, only on BET.
All right, Sisters fans, thank goodness I took a moment to look it up. We actually have episode titles and synopsis for tonight's premiere. So we actually have information on the two episodes we're getting tonight at 9 and 10 p.m. respectively Eastern Time on BET for season 2. So if you don't want any information, feel free to click off the video, but I'd really appreciate it if you at least like and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon selecting all. That way you keep notified whenever I post new content to the channel. And on top of that, follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. So here we go. Episode 1, or episode 26, who's ever counting. Episode 1 of season 2, The Lonely Road. Probably has to do with the fact that, Andy's going to be walking. Andy tries to restore light in her situation after Gary's arrest. Preston presses Danny to let her guard down and be vulnerable with him. Gary believes he is being set up, and Andy arrives to her apartment and finds that Gary has possibly wrecked her life. So it looks like this episode seems to be doing a good job picking up where we left off because, I'm not looking for every question or storyline to be answered in the first episode or second episode too, because we are getting 2 for 1. But we just got to deal with Andy dealing with the aftermath of Gary. The fact that she's trying to make sense of this situation. When it just seems like you've lost everything, how, aside from faith, because you know how Tyler Perry's writing is. Imagine that, like, the guy you're in love with, you begin to question everything that you thought you knew about him. Then he gets arrested in front of you. Then you come to find out you were involved in some huge criminal activity that you had no idea you had any association with. And then, not to mention a couple episodes prior, you lost your job. And then on top of that, your house has been taken up. Basically everything you own is now under government surveillance / ownership, and you have nothing. And then kind of on a side note, and I'm not complaining about this part of the synopsis, it just seems like a random bit. Preston presses Danny to let her guard down and be vulnerable with him. Okay, that's stuff we already know from last season. So it seems like Preston and Danny are on good terms, but Preston still wants Danny to not be, I guess you could say, don't be a hard-boiled egg, be a soft-boiled egg. Yeah, that's the best I can come up with. It's like 4 in the morning. So in any case, the back half of the synopsis leads to the question of Gary believing that he's being set up. And then after, Andy arrives to her apartment. So remember, it doesn't look like Andy's going to be walking the entire episode. At least by the end of this episode, Andy does get back to her apartment somehow. And, the FBI has it all taped off and everything because her life is in shambles. So there we go. So do you believe Gary's being set up, or do you think this is just another lie? So then we move to episode 2, High Crimes. Andy is devastated that her privacy has been compromised. Most likely because A, the FBI has everything. B, she could be in the news right now. And then Fantima, I hope I said that right. Fantima begs a colleague to help Andy with her legal issues. This is not the case, but it would be awesome if it was. What if it was Mike from Bruh? Because remember, Mike works at the same law firm as Andy. Well, assuming that the timeline of Bruh is kind of the beginning of season 1 of Bruh, we do see Andy like in episode 2. So Andy still works at the law firm. So theoretically speaking, this could be a pre-Sistas cameo. So Mike still be into the law firm. Okay. Well, in any case, let me just read the synopsis. Yeah. Fantima begs a colleague to help Andy with her legal issues. Gary calls Andy and reveals that he believes his ex-wife Jasmine is framing him. 1, they haven't officially gotten divorced yet. 2, if Gary, thought it was a ghost. Something fell over in my room. My bad. So did Leslie not know about this setup? I don't honestly. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued, but I'm also like confused on, okay, what the hell is going on here? All right, so I don't know what colleague, because to be honest, I don't think we've seen too many other colleagues that Andy has been working with. We saw Andy Fantima, her boss, who we found out is dirty. So I'm guessing this is just another same level person to help out. I mean, to be fair, it would be cool if it was Mike, because we learned in Bruh, in terms of the law firm, he works in like the tax division and whatnot, and he threatened to, bust Leon for tax fraud and everything like that, with being a drug dealer and whatnot, most likely not filing or reporting how much income he makes. So given that Gary was arrested under like money laundering, everything, I think Mike would be the perfect man for the job. So it would be very, very cool if Mike was in this episode of Sistas, but I don't think that's the case. Again, it would be freaking awesome, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is the case. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I don't mean that in like a boring sense. I think that's pretty exciting. Just so you know, episode 3. Okay, let me say this one. I just noticed the episode 3 title, and my goodness, this is freaking amazing. And there's no synopsis. Episode 3 airing October 21st. It's all about pacing. I'm not trying to sound egotistical or like I have, like Tyler Perry knows me or anything. All I got to say is, I hope this episode was written for me. What I mean by that is, I hope this title is a nod to people like me who review these shows and be like, yo, Tyler needs to work on the pacing. I hope this is if it's a shout out to me, then by all means, it's all about pacing. You know what, Tyler? I want to sit here and wait for episode 3. I'm excited for episode 3 now, because if it's like, you know what, Jeremy, I watch your reviews, I listen to your, everything. When you talk about the pacing and, like the dragging out, hey, it's all about the big picture coming together. It's all about the pacing. Again, I know I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm kind of laughing to myself, because if that's the case, I'm done. That's a freaking amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The first 3 episode titles, but the first 2 episode synopsis. Just to kind of throw this out here, because I think I mentioned this in my Sisters versus Girlfriend season 1 video, as well as my Does season 2 have a lot of pressure to succeed video. I am slightly nervous because, like I said in those videos before, I kind of feel like this season is going to kind of make the same. Again, I could be completely wrong, because again, these are only the first 2 episode synopsis, and the synopsis don't always cover every single thing that goes on in an episode. But one of my things I was hoping season 2 would do is kind of spread the focus, not just focus on the Andy story. Yes, the other ladies have things going on in the show as well, but when you think Sisters, everybody thinks Andy, Gary, Jasmine, Morris, Leslie. Like, that storyline holds precedent overall. And I feel like the stakes of that story are so high that it diminishes the other characters on the show. I mean, when you look at a show like, and again, I'm not trying to, I know some people are like, you shouldn't put one show against the other. It's not about that. It's just like comparison because of similar premises. And they are good examples because, well, shows like Girlfriends and Living Single are obviously off the air because they finished their run a long time ago. But when you look at shows like Girlfriends or Living Single, in those shows you had a core group of women. I mean, on Living Single you had Regine, Max, Sinclair, and Khadijah, and then the other 2 male supporting or main characters, Kyle and Max. Well, sorry, Kyle. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I actually binged season 2. I got the DVD set. I was watching it last week on my Xbox while I was working on that giant mountain of eBay stuff. I feel bad. I should know the name. Overton Wakefield Jones. Anyway, the thing about that show is, and Girlfriends, you have 4 main characters who are black women. And even though it's like Khadijah obviously is like the main character of Living Single, or Joan is the main character of Girlfriends, the other women felt like main characters because their stories played into the overall plot. Like, I don't see at all how like the Sabrina Calvin relationship has anything to do with Andy's situation. I don't see how Danny and Preston or Karen, Aaron, Zach have anything to do. It's almost like there are 4 separate stories and they don't really feel like they're together, because sometimes, a lot of times actually, when we switch scenes from the Andy storyline to go over to Danny or Sabrina, a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, I want to see what's happening with Andy. I just feel like there's a lack of, I feel like there's more parallel lines than intersections. Yeah. There are more parallel lines in Sistas than intersections. So, I mean, so at the beginning of this season, I guess we're going to see the 4 of them together recapping everything that's going on. But at the same time, from there, we're probably going to be like, okay, and it's going to be like, and break. Or like, a huddle at a football game or whatever, where the teams, is going over their plans, like, okay, and break. Then we're going to go off and do our own things. Or kind of like, yeah, that's the best example I got. So, yeah, this video is a lot longer than I expected. Didn't mean to go that far in it, but I was just thinking out loud. So, let me know your thoughts on these episode titles and synopsis. Are you watching it live tonight? There's a lot riding on this show just because of the fact that, like I've said time and time again, I hope Sistas is a smash, because these Tyler Perry shows in the back half of 2020 have not been good. Have nots. House of Pain, Assisted Living, for the most part, amongst the fans, haven't been well received at all. And I know the ratings, well, honestly, the ratings for Assisted Living and House of Pain have not been good. Actually, give me 1 second. I want to check the ratings, for the haves and the have-nots recently. Okay, so the haves and the have-nots is holding steady, still getting over 1 million live views a week, so that's not quite an issue. But in terms of the quality and conversation, not too much positivity has been stated about the show. And there's no need of looking at Assisted Living, House of Pain. None of them have reached 1 million aside from like the first night. And yeah, so I hope Sistas does well. I really do hope it does well. We need something to save the back half of the year. I know Ruthless, and apparently some people are telling me we're not getting the Oval until 2021. And it wouldn't surprise me if we don't. I just don't have enough solid sources to confirm that for me, but I have been hearing things from certain people. Ruthless is supposed to come back this fall, but even if it comes back in November, even though I'm excited for it, don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see it, it will just have come in way too late, so it wouldn't be enough to save 2020 for me in regards to Tyler Perry content. But there hasn't been anything that I feel Tyler Perry has put out that could save the his stuff. Bruh comes on tomorrow. You know how I feel. The last 3 episodes have not been good at all. So I really hope that Sistas can bring it home. At least give us some more faith that Tyler Perry has, still hasn't lost it. So there we go. But guys, thanks so much for tuning into this video. Like I said, lengthier than expected, but I hope everybody got something out of it, and I hope the comment section lights up with thoughts and everything about the episodes. Like I said in my other videos, I do plan on watching live tweeting, and if I'm up for it, either due to energy or going to sleep, at 11 p.m. I do want to try to do a live stream going over the episodes, and then of course on Thursday or Friday I'll do my episode reviews, yada yada yada. You know the drill by now. So as always, thanks so much for tuning in, and if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.